Welcome back, tuning into today's video. Well, the storm did arrive overnight. It brought some very disruptive winds to southern parts of the country as predicted, brought lots of heavy rain through to the Midlands, parts of Lincolnshire, East Anglia, again as predicted. So the forecast yesterday I think went very well really in terms of where the worst of the winds was going to be and in terms of where the worst of the rain was going to be. Now the highest gust of wind that I've seen recorded so far was recorded on the Isle of Wight at 99 miles per hour, so a very significant wind storm blowing through southern parts of the country, through the channel along the south coast into southeast England, and unfortunately we have had one or two fatalities from this storm. So again, it just goes to show how devastating and powerful the weather can be. Even in this country where we're pretty lucky really most of the time, but even in this country weather can be very damaging and significant on occasions. Now the low pressure is clearing away now. It's gone off into the North Sea and into Europe, so things are going to be calming down quite a lot over the next few hours. It's going to stay pretty windy and showery, but things will be improving through the course of the rest of today. This is the radar picture. This was the radar picture from UK Met Office at 6 o'clock in the morning. Very heavy rain through much of Wales, the Midlands, in towards the north of East Anglia and Lincolnshire. The strongest of the winds were on the southern side of that rain. The rain is where the centre of the low pressure is. Winds were quite light with that torrential rain, but the strongest winds were through the southern side of the low pressure going along the south coast into both southern and southeastern counties. Well, through the morning that rain has cleared away into the North Sea, so it was at 9 o'clock in the morning to 10:30, 11. Yeah, it's clearing away. The low pressure is going off, and the latest radar pitch shows that the rain has just about left the east coast now. Lots of heavy showers though following in behind. Some of those are really quite beefy and thundery. Could be some hail mixed in as well. And they're being fed in on really quite a strong westerly wind. So that's going to be the trend through the rest of today. Things will be calming down. The worst of the weather is over. The storm has gone. And we're going to gradually see things improving through the course of the rest of today. Now tomorrow should be a better day. I think it'll be mainly dry with some reasonable sunny spells. It will be a colder day. Temperatures will be struggling to get into double figures, but it's certainly going to be a big improvement on today's weather. But let's have a look at what's going to happen over the next week to 10 days, because it looks like it's staying very unsettled. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the left. The GFS is over on the right, and it's right to 10 days time, so it's going into this is going into the early part of November. In fact, going up to around the 3rd or the 4th of November. So what we're looking at with the blue colours is below average heights, and the ECMWF is seeing a continuation really of below average heights out in the Atlantic to the north of the British Isles. The GFS has as well a very deep trough of low pressure sitting just to the north of the country. Both going for a strong jet stream as well to still be going across the Atlantic in 8 to 10 days time. The ECMWF takes the jet stream a little bit to the south of the country, so becoming colder with that. Temperatures will be on the slide as that jet stream is just slightly to the south of the country, whereas the GFS actually brings the jet stream more through the British Isles. It's a very, very strong jet stream still blowing across the Atlantic through that trough of low pressure. So no real let up in the conditions if the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts are correct. Certainly for the next week to 10 days we're keeping low pressure really, really dominant with a very strong jet stream going on. So the GFS ensembles, temperature and rainfall ensembles, showing that we're going to be going a bit below average over the next couple of days. Actually, the red line here is where we should be. The temperatures are going to be dipping away over the next couple of days. Haven't seen much below average temperature. Haven't seen many below average temperatures this October, but we're going to get it right at the end of the month, just for a day or two. But then as we get through to around the very end of the month, temperatures will actually pick up and recover, and then we're going to stay around average then going out in start of November. This is the 1st of November just here, so yeah, we're going to be staying around the seasonal average if the GFS is right. But remember, the ECMWF just wants to take the jet stream a little bit to the south of the country, so if we do get on the cooler side of the jet, and we may do at times, even on the GFS scenario we may do at times as those low pressures clear through, then there will be some cooler days beginning to come into the mix. Probably never really getting back to the kind of warmth that we've had through much of this October. Now, the rainfall spike showed that we're going to have a drier spell coming up for a day or two with this drop in the temperatures. We do see that we lose precipitation spikes just for a couple of days, but then they come back with a vengeance as we get through to the end of the coming week. And into next weekend, really, really wet conditions again. And that extends out into Bonfire Night. There's Bonfire Night, the 5th of November. Looks like we've got a lot of rainfall still going on even to then. So the temperature anomalies for the next week, Monday the 28th to Monday the 4th of November, show that we're going to be still slightly above average, but not as warm as we have been for much of October. The real warmth is pushing off in towards the east and southeast of Europe. That's where the deepest red colours are. We're going back nearer to normal, as is much of France, Spain, and Portugal, actually going below average. But we're going nearer to average, still slightly on the milder side, and that's probably being skewered by the temperatures right now, which are still quite warm in the upper atmosphere, although that warmth is clearing away with this storm. So once we get through to tomorrow's anomalies, this will probably be even closer to average. The precipitation anomalies for the next week show we're going to be average to above average generally, Monday the 28th to Monday the 4th of November. Remember, that does encompass a drier slot that we're going to have for the next couple of days. So once we're beyond that and on in towards the end of the week and the weekend, you can see that it's going to be a really wet spell if 2 or 3 dry days only sees us getting to around average or above average in terms of those precipitation anomalies. So over the weekend, there's the prospect of more heavy rain and severe gales. There's the low pressure to the west of Scotland on Saturday, 2nd of November. That'll be taking active cold front across the country, bringing outbreaks of rain to many places. Then as we move through into Sunday, well, look at that. The ice bars are tightening again there across the country. Very tight packed ice bars. This time, perhaps Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England getting the worst bit. And again, there could be gales or severe gales blowing through there. But a very windy, sort of wet weekend on the cards if the GFS model is right. Another trough of low pressure coming through around the southern side of that low pressure on Monday. That'll take more heavy rain across England and Wales in particular. Again, notice very tight packed ice bars for Scotland and Northern England. So the worst of the winds at the weekend could well be in the north rather than in the south, as we have seen this weekend. Now, going through to Tuesday the 5th, which is a bonfire night, of course, just for suggestion that we might have a little transient ridge there. So it's a long way off, it's 192 hours away, but the general pattern is still very unsettled, so I wouldn't take that too seriously. We could just throw up a transient ridge for bonfire night and have a decent day or decent night. But it's generally still a very unsettled weather pattern, that. And don't take that too literally. As we get through to the 10-day period, which is Thursday the 7th of November, we're bringing another active weather system through across the country in what is still a very unsettled pattern with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, and yet still taking strong winds and bouts of rain in across the country. So certainly no end in sight to this unsettled spell, stormy spell for the next week to 10 days. The ECMWS shows that for Sunday, at midnight on Sunday, we've got low pressure right over the top of the country, so that'll be bringing heavy rain across many parts of the country. At least with the low pressure in that position, it's not too windy. It's not as windy as we see on the GFS, but generally it stays very unsettled going through to Monday the 4th. Low pressure firmly dominating the weather, and through to Tuesday the 5th, which is bonfire night again, remember, we take that trough through. And remember, we saw on the height anomaly charts, but just a suggestion from the ECMWF that we're pushing the jet stream further southwards, so we're going to find ourselves, if this is right, on the colder side of the jet, bringing down something of a northerly wind. So if that's right, we could be looking at quite a cold bonfire night, actually. You really would have to wrap up but warm for your fireworks parties. But it doesn't last long, because as we go through to Wednesday the 6th and on into Thursday the 7th, the next low pressure rattles through, and it's just a continuation of this very unsettled pattern. Really a brief drop into cold weather for the 5th, but then 6th and 7th of November, the low pressure rattles more weather systems in. Again, tightly packed ice bar, so it's windy and it's wet across many parts of the country, and that's how the GEM, the Canadian model, is seeing things for day 10, Thursday the 7th. No end to the unsettled weather. Low pressure to the northwest of the country is firmly in control of this. Tight back ties bars, so it's windy, and there's more weather systems coming through. Does it have that little cold snap around the bonfire night period that's on the east end of the weather? Yes, it does actually. We bring down that northerly wind very briefly on the 5th of November, so that's quite interesting. The GEM and the ECMWF agreeing that we're going to very temporarily around the 4th or 5th of November push jet stream southwards and bring down some colder air briefly for the bonfire night period. But then, as I say, it all flattens off as the next low pressure rushes through, bringing more heavy rain and gales, and from that there's no sign really of breaking out of it anytime soon. So beyond that, beyond the 7th of November, it looks like we'll probably be keeping it quite unsettled for a few days after that as well. So generally, we're in a really unsettled pattern. Low pressure is dominant. It's going to throw more weather systems across the country over the next week to 10 days. We will get a drier slot in the next couple of days when it'll be a bit colder. But overall, it's a really unsettled pattern, this, and there's no sign of the sun soon. So if you don't like the rain and the gales, it's bad news for you, because this is going to go on for quite a few more days yet. I did the video on Friday with the long-range JMA model, which did indicate that as we get through to the middle of November, we might start to build high pressure over Scandinavia, and that would be one way out of this unsettled pattern. If we built high pressure over Scandinavia, we'd send the jet stream, or we'd split the jet stream really off, one block going off to the north and another block going off to the south. We'd turn it a lot colder, but it would at least be a break in the stormy, unsettled conditions. So middle of November, that's when we may be looking at for a change. Until then, no end really in sight to this very unsettled spell. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.